Hello, everybody. Welcome back to DangIT Prodcast, the show where we talk about video games, anime, manga, the like. My name is Justin,
Mark.
and welcome back, everybody. And yeah, it's just me and Mark here. Interesting enough, I'm seeing a little icon on Discord side next to you. I'm not sure what that is. I'm gonna investigate. Oh, you're chilling. It tells me your status is chilling right now. That's cute. I see Ibrahim in the chat. How's it going, Ibrahim? But yeah, it's a pretty slow week. Some stuff has come up as far as like Phil's like needing to like do stuff like on his end. Aniyah is currently MIA. We're not too concerned though. He was messaging earlier in the day, but I think he's just doing his thing. It might be tournament related. I know he has a couple Tekken tournaments that he still wants to go to, and then June he's good. Which is good because we're going to have Retro Gaming Expo as well as a whole bunch of other game-related stuff like in that month. It's pretty big. I mean, that's kind of I'm already forgetting it. E3. Ooh, it almost became like a distant memory that almost like vanished.
I mean, at this point,
Like when you're on your phone and you delete it, but it ends up in like a little mini folder called recently deleted, and you have to go back in and then wipe that, and then it's relatively gone. Although I heard that there's been like a glitch with iOS where like some of your stuff will resurface, which is like that's weird. I think I've noticed that on my like stuff where photos like, and usually there's screenshots and whatnot for future like for like immediate reference. Usually would delete those, and then they just kind of like popped up at some point. And I was like, that's weird. I'll just delete it again though. But yeah, we got a couple things to talk about. I'm actually excited to talk. We get to have this time to talk about. We can talk about anime, but let's hold that off for like some of the main topic stuff showing up this week as far as video games. So, Ibrahim, I know you want to talk about Assassin's Creed. We will definitely talk about Assassin's Creed. I do want to talk about that. First and foremost, though,
I'm on that, boss man.
First and foremost, we have Square Enix as kind of one of the early things that showed up earlier in the week, and kind of the main topical thing, like for the live stream, the podcast episode. Pulling it up right here, Square Enix announces a shift to multi-platform strategy as part of their new business plan, and this is kind of it's pretty much I probably is like an immediate reflection upon how much income they've been like racking in as far as like releases of like the games released in the past like year or so. Because I don't know if you know about this, Mark, but there's actually a lot of Square Enix games that got released like over the past 2 years.
There was?
Yeah, like we're not even talking about Final Fantasy. Well, there's also
that just goes to show you how much.
Yeah, exactly. Because of course, there's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There's also Final Fantasy 16. But people don't talk about Foam Stars. That's actually Square Enix.
Foam Stars is Square Enix?
Mm-hmm. And don't forget Diofield Chronicles, that strategy game they had like a while back. Harvestell is a little bit further back, but that's also a game as well. Also, I'm trying to remember what the name of the game was with my freaking mind. You remember that one?
With my freaking mind.
So yeah, so apparently a lot of their sales have been like dwindling, and part of it's because of the PlayStation exclusivity. Because it does look very tempting when like PlayStation is like waving money right in front of their faces, like, hey, you can have this, and they're like, I bet. But now they're looking at their sales and like, that's not really looking great on us. So
maybe we did an oopsie.
So yeah, even though these days you see a couple of like Square Enix games do show multi-platform, now they're kind of focusing on multi-platform, which is going to include pretty much all the platforms from like Xbox to Switch and of course PC. And PlayStation will still have a cut, but
apparently one of the biggest markets they're looking to go to is PC.
Well, actually, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Because what's really nice is, even though they're not like at all physical, like you have a library of all these games from different like generations, and you can just access them whenever you want. Like similar to like how Phil will say that like I got like Final Fantasies 1 through 12 on the Switch. Well, with like with a PC, you can have all of them. Like, well, except for 16. 16 is still like PlayStation exclusive, so we're kind of waiting on that. But for the most part, it's all. You can really find a lot of them on PC. Sorry, Ibrahim. Let me go ahead and like check in with you real quick. Yeah, Outcome of the Prophets here. Foam Stars didn't do anything considering it's a Square Enix game, and mainly it's because of it's a Splatoon flip coin. Yeah, it's true. Foam Stars was kind of the Splatoon of PlayStation side. And to be fair, like when I saw people play it, it looked like it was a lot of fun. But the problem is like, how do you, with a live service game, how do you kind of keep people like into playing in? Because, you know, obviously free to play is like a great like starting point, but then you always have to keep incentivizing on like what's next. Like for example, this wasn't actually part of my notes, but I remember it that you know, what was it, Party Animals, the kind of the Fall Guys, not Fall, what's it? No, not Fall Guys. It's or maybe it was. Anyway, I'm getting them mixed up. Gang Beasts is what I'm thinking of. Like the Game Beasts like a successor, if anything, but has like different like animal skins and whatnot, and you just have different like game modes and whatnot. But what they're doing to kind of keep, you know, the player base is by like adding more character skins in there, from like different crossover stuff to just like some additional stuff. I remember they had Chinese New Year Dragon. I think that was like, yeah, that was in February that they were having for a limited time. And more recently, they included that one dude from like the not like mobile games, you know, the ones where you cut the rope and you have to like work with the momentum to see if you can like get from point A to point B. So I've played that before, but it's been a hot minute since I've seen that. But man, what a callback on that. But yeah, stuff like that. You kind of see it with Call of Duty, for example. Actually, I'm not really entirely sure because I never really touched any of the current Modern Warfare games and just Warzone. But yeah, like if you just like add in like incentive stuff, and yeah, I guess you could look at Fortnite as well. You know, Fortnite's been going like strong since like day one of like Battle Royale. But, you know, they continue to add like character skins, different emotes and whatnot. And so it keeps things thriving. And I just think that Foam Stars just didn't have that. So unfortunately, that just is what it is. Let me see. Just want to check it with Ibrahim real quick. Yeah, the cut the rope. I've been playing it on YouTube. YouTube have games now. What? YouTube has games? Like clarify, Ibrahim. Is that like, you know how Netflix has like some video games, like more recently Sonic Mania? Because that's actually not the worst idea, actually. If they have I don't even know how that works as far as distribution of the games, but if you can just, if all you need is like maybe YouTube Premium and you have access to like some freebie games, then shoot, I guess that's great. That's like, okay, all right, thanks for the confirmation. So it's pretty much everyone's like mobile like Game Pass, which is actually funny that we actually bring up Game Pass here. We should probably talk about that as well. I've been hearing some stuff about Call of Duty actually showing up. Always, yeah, it's not really like officially supported. I think there was like a Bloomberg like report where the next Call of Duty game will be like announced like this year. That's with a grain of salt, everybody.
I mean, it's already been, the title was already leaked. Sorry, my wife got hobo talking to her.
Gotcha.
The title, if I'm not mistaken, the leaked title for the next Call of Duty is supposed to be Black Ops Gulf War. Which obviously from the title would depict going back to the Gulf War.
Okay, gotcha. Also, sorry everybody, if you all saw like an expression on my face, I could have like I thought I didn't have audio from Mark, so I got scared real quick. But no, we're good. But yeah, I forgot about like the Gulf War like title. But they were talking about how like, yeah, that's going to be on Game Pass and whatnot. And honestly, it should. It really should. Like if you're going to like get Activision and Blizzard, if you're going to end up having like all these different layoffs, you might as well like done like people a favor and really incentivize people to get into the ecosystem with Game Pass, if anything. with a new Call of Duty game. In fact, all of the Call of Duty games. And
But they're wondering how smart of a business strategy that's going to be.
that's also very true because a lot of conversations going on this past week since the closures of different studios, Riptide and GameWorks, and it's one of those things where obviously smaller development teams benefit from Game Pass, but as far as like big companies like even Bethesda, for example, they're not really getting a lot of the returns, it seems. So it's like, how do we? Because you can't just I guess one thought would be like maybe we could just take some of the big major titles off of Game Pass, but that's like a no because they already said that they're going to have those day one, and that
It's a pretty established agreement.
it's a pretty much established agreement that if they were to take those out, that'd be.
But I mean, then again, I guess as the parent company, you can make the choice if you want to change your mind.
Yeah, or maybe make a separate tier list or something like that. They could split off like the Game Pass tier list, where it's like, I guess technically speaking, they kind of have with, I think it's Game Pass Core or yeah, something like that, where it is Xbox Live and then just a smaller like library of Game Pass games, and then Ultimate is just like everything else.
It really is just Game Pass.
But yeah, and I guess they could also kind of raise the pricing for Game Pass. Not everyone's gonna like that, obviously. I wouldn't like that, but
I still need to renew mine, honestly.
yeah, because at a certain point, obviously, it's a huge deal when you have. I'm sorry, Mark. Did you sneeze?
Did I sneeze? No.
Oh, okay. I was going to prep the bless you on that. I was like, is my guy over there sneezing? And I'm not
Appreciate
blessing
that.
him.
Appreciate the thought.
But yeah, like it was such a good deal back then because Game Pass was like just $10. And granted, it was separate from Gold, so you still would pay extra for that. But essentially, that was like doing the math. That's like 120 like a month, and that's like playing like all the games limitlessly. But now it's like risen up to like what, $17 in like per month, which is kind of big. But if they were to increase it a little bit more, so I think they can kind of get away with that and still like maintain an audience. But pretty much by the time that they reach it where it's like, oh, it's like $60 like per month, then that's definitely a no. 50 is like really cutting it too. So there's a certain point where they can't be too greedy about that. Otherwise, people are just better off buying the games by themselves. Although we are getting to the age where like games are starting to become $70. So, and then of course there's also like the deluxe editions on that front as well. So is still a very big benefit of just getting Game Pass if you just want like the base game of anything. So yeah,
like with Game Pass, and it's like it's also this. I mean, it's not just Square Enix that's pursuing multi-platform strategy. Xbox has been doing that for a long time, and guess who's also doing it now? PlayStation.
Also Nintendo to a certain extent, but you know,
every single company now is starting to see the flaw in exclusivity.
Oh, that's what. Oh, sorry. I thought you were still talking about like Game Pass equivalents, like PlayStation's like library of stuff, and also
they are doing that as well.
NSO.
Ever since Game Pass launched, a lot of places have been copying the subscription model.
That's fair, man. I guess that's the same thing as like how the Switch like was concepted, and then now we have like a Steam Deck and an ROG Ally and a Lenovo Legion Go, and like the militia that is the Aniyah like series.
Speaking of the Switch 2,
The Switch 2. Yeah, no. That's definitely like the way to go going forward. I hope that's like another thing that
here's hoping it's a little more beefed up.
yeah. So wait, I guess we're good on like Call of Duty stuff. Right now we know the title. There's just been talks about it showing up on Game Pass. That makes sense. And then we just talked about Game Pass in general. But okay. Yeah, I feel like we talked about the Switch 2 last week. Yeah. Well, technically, I guess it was Sunday. We're still within the same week of this posting. But yeah, dude, I've been working on a Tanuki video just talking about everything we know about the Switch 2, which is pretty much everything that Phil has like regurgitated in the podcast prior. So that's a video I'll be working on. I'll let y'all know about that one. But Yeah, no, I'm really hoping that it's definitely beefier. I'm totally okay with it being like of like an ROG Ally size type of handheld, if it just helps like with processing, and if it's backwards compatible, I think that's all for the better. That actually just makes sense. Now that I think about it, I'm not sure if we really like talked about it, but the fact is that PlayStation and Xbox have like been going on that journey of just accessing the library as like more openly than previously, because with the PlayStation they had the PlayStation 3, which was like could go all the way back to PlayStation 1, that was goated, and then with PlayStation 4 they just cut that completely, and then PlayStation 4 Pro, still the same thing. But then PlayStation 5 has now opened it up a little bit more, so where you can play PlayStation 1 and 2 natively, like a few titles here and there. But the weird thing is that 3 is just remote play, so you're not really playing that natively. You don't actually own that one. And then Xbox obviously has been doing a lot of backwards compatible stuff as best as possible, and I think they're like getting back into that. So very good. So if Nintendo were to just do the exact same as the Switch, then they completely alienate people who are already on the Switch. Especially if they're like buying the games that are being released up until the release of Switch 2. So it just makes sense. And also the fact is that the Switch is like super successful. So it's like, do we really want to just like cold turkey like cut this off, or? So nah, I don't think so. Let me check in what Ibrahim said here. I'm just gonna read back up on things here. So last time you were talking about, Ibrahim was talking about games like on YouTube, which was kind of crazy to see.
He's saying he's got no reason to get a. He's saying he's got no reason to get a new Switch, if considering he's got a PlayStation 5. Unless Smash 6 comes out, then he's gonna have to.
Smash, yeah, I get it.
There's always that one game that people like encourages people to get the console.
That's 100%, and that's a good strat for them like going forward. Because Mark, didn't you get a Switch primarily because of Smash Brothers?
Smash and Pokemon.
That's fair enough. But as far as like that first game that you got like on the Switch, was it Smash Brothers?
It was Smash.
Well, for sure. Like,
Smash definitely has a lot of selling power.
Yeah. Going back into playing Smash Brothers, this was like a few weeks ago at Phil's place. Like we were just, I think that was probably our last like Tanuki meeting, and we were just playing like a game just like off camera, just for fun. And we jumped back into Smash Brothers. I was like, dude, this game is like, there's some oddities performance wise, but otherwise it's like it's the pinnacle Smash experience. And like, you don't even need to like dive into all that kind of stuff. You could just start with like just playing like the melee mode. So it's like, it's just good. Man, that game's crazy good. So much polish. Man, dude, I've been kind of a quick aside. I've been watching a little bit of Sakurai stuff. He's been posting regularly on his YouTube channel, and it's just been nice to see. He recently posted about his collection on like different games and consoles alike. He's not quite the same as Phil as far as like wanting that physical, like the physical visual, like across like whatever collection he has. So he's really broken it down to just like, here are the game carts, CDs and whatnot, just like organized into these like zippers or cabinets. And I have this custom made cabinet from like some of my consoles here. I'm like, sheesh. And then the best part of the video is when he talks about his cat. And it's like, the cat doesn't really need to be packaged or anything. There's no storage for the cat. Cat stores itself.
Of course.
Which is it's a fair assessment. But yeah, I get it, Ibrahim. Going back into like the Switch too. Like honestly, if it's a more powerful like Switch, then you can actually just kind of stave off of like getting that immediately, and maybe just wait for like a better version. Because if it doesn't come out as like an OLED edition Switch, then I can also see why people are like, yeah, not really. Like that's not me anymore. I mean, I'll definitely just check it out for sure. And I kind of want to know what they're going to do like officially when it comes to like the actual game cards, because they're gonna obviously going to have like maybe a big bulkier size like game card to like store all the information, and they'll probably just have like a nice little like groove like stubbed out, or just like a little stub on the game card just to make it easy for you to just not accidentally put that into the regular Switch. But at some point, yeah, I think it's going to be one of those things where I see a little bit more with what was it, Xbox One to Xbox Series, where it is like, we get a lot of games for Xbox One, and I guess granted PlayStation 4 was the same way too. But then like later on they start to shift over to the Series and PlayStation 5 only like versions. So we'll eventually have that for the Switch too. But as far as we understand, the Switch 2 is just going to be like that Switch family. So everything that you have already, like downloads and even subscriptions, they're going to carry over. And that was one of the points that Phil had mentioned in the Q&A that president of Nintendo had to like go through. And that was, what they were going to do with account systems and whatnot. And yes, they were going to continue supporting like the account systems. So that's good. And apparently that was like already set in place prior to like the Switch's development. So it's very nice. Also, I'm also seeing stuff showing up here on YouTube side. That's crazy. B&D room, hello. How's it going? Sorry guys, I was also pulling this up on YouTube as far as the live stream, and yeah, I'm not quite used to how YouTube Live is back. Well, we done live streams before on YouTube, but I eventually had to like just moved off of that and moved over to Twitch. But now we just do multi-streams, so it works. It's great. So we were just talking about the Switch 2 and everything like that. More on that video later on. Was there? Let me see. Got some other news here. Oh yeah, that's right. There was we can talk. Let's talk about Assassin's Creed, dude.
I'm ready to talk about this.
Yeah, like you shared the video, and I was like, okay, I'll watch it. Like I'll watch it a little bit later. I got a little curious though. I was very much
enjoying the trailer. The trailer looks good.
Yeah,
I would like to see gameplay as well, but from the trailer, the story looked interesting.
All right, let me break it down to everybody who's not familiar with the Assassin's Creed. Like, I apologize, I wasn't familiar with the game. They have such a good track record of making like these compelling like trailers. They're so good.
But the trailers are always fire.
Like, I've only started tracking them since Assassin's Creed 2, but I'm pretty sure Assassin's Creed 1 actually had that too. But every like Assassin's Creed entry has like this cool cinematic trailer, and they're just all good. I remember like more prominently when Tobuscus, I'm not sure what Tobuscus is doing nowadays, but he used to do like these literal trailers where he makes melodies of just like with lyrics of just what literally is happening like in the trailers. So I kind of remember it by that too. But the trailers by themselves were really good. And they did not hold back on the new title, which is called Shadows. So
which is very fitting.
They dropped this past week, and it is fire. Like there's nothing else I can say about it. Like it's straight. Sick. It's sick, bro. But I also had to like air out like a little bit of grief that I kind of had, and because I'm part of this camp now, because we're all starting to see it. A lot of trailers about upcoming games, especially ones that are being announced right now, kind of just conceptualize things in like a cinematic just to get people's attention, but they don't show the gameplay. Not until later.
I totally understand, and I agree that I think gameplay should also be shown.
Mm-hmm.
However, just going from the story standpoint and the designs and everything, I think it looks good. It really captures the vibe of feudal Japan. I
agree with that, Mark. I think that honestly, like, the way something you could take away from this is just like what exactly are they trying to like put as the setting. Obviously it's feudal Japan, but like exactly what's the mood, what's the vibe essentially with the characters. And in this trailer, obviously we got our female character. Obviously she is like an assassin, kind of like a little bit more ninja like a shinobi. And then we got I saw the dude, I was like, is that Yasuke?
If if you see a man like that back when Nobunaga is alive, you know who that is.
Oh my god, dude. So, I for a while I didn't know who Yasuke was, and it might be I might not be the only one in this boat, but it only became apparent to me that like someone like that existed in the past because of the Netflix show
Yeah,
Yasuke,
the Netflix show Yasuke.
which was conceptually was fire. Uh,
Execution needed a little work.
execution was lacking. I think those first like few episodes were really good, and then it just really just like trailed off and did its own thing, which I mean, fine, but it also just didn't work out at the end. But that's when I became familiar with.
I mean, for those who aren't familiar, Yasuke was he was sent to Japan. He was an African man. He was sent to Japan, where he was favored by Oda Nobunaga, the man who unified Japan, and he was made as one of Oda's retainers.
A
And for those
samurai.
who aren't aware, a retainer, yes, a retainer is still considered a samurai. So in a sense, he was a samurai.
Hmm.
And people are. This is what I know. It's like, as someone who's also been critical of like things that are, there are absolutely things that are woke. You could say that I say like, oh no,
Sure.
this is bad. Like it's like where it's basically just trying to do something to where it's like, oh no.
Oh
It's kind of
wait.
like
So wait, what's your stance on this?
my stance on this is I think people are trying to do that here, but I don't think it's required and or appropriate
That's fair. Yeah. 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 All right.
because they say because I mean, first of all, it's not like Yasuke is random. Yasuke is an actual historical figure,
Mm-hmm.
and you could make two arguments against that. You could say, well, why isn't it a Japanese male lead? Or you could say like, oh, well, why did they just happen to put it during this specific time where Yasuke is alive? They could have done any other time during the feudal wars of Japan. I was like, well, think about this. Assassin's Creed is known for doing augmented history. So, in that, we also have characters that may have actually been characters that were in that history that assist our character. And it's convenient about having Yasuke for that
Mm.
is because there's documentation of Yasuke, but the thing is, it's very limited. We don't know a ton about Yasuke,
Mm.
and especially after Oda died, and then Oda died, and then Yasuke ran to his son, Oda's son, to duel the Akechi, and then after everything had happened, he was expelled from Japan by the new leader of Japan, and that is when his records go blank. Like we don't know what happened to Yasuke after he was expelled from Japan.
Oh yeah. And that's kind of like what Netflix was taking as an adaptation. It's like it's my conclusion I can draw just based on what you were telling me, where it's like obviously like he served, and then past that like we don't really know. So they created like a narrative for like Yasuke in a more like fantasy setting, still like based in like Japan, but
And
yeah.
so to me, what I say you could take from that is, yes, they could have just made up a new protagonist. Yes, they could have just done this, but what augments history and is a character that you could do a lot with while he still is a historical character. I think Yasuke makes sense for that
Hmm.
because you can make him work, and if he survives this whole story, then he could have been an assassin.
This is yeah. And honestly, they've done this with like other historical figures before.
Yeah,
Like Leonardo da
like
Vinci's obviously a big one, helping Ezio like with like inventions and whatnot.
right, Leonardo
The
da
Makutse,
Vinci.
shoot the flying demon.
I mean, not only that, like what else? Like, let's think. There's all
Also
the
George
characters
Washington himself.
this is true. All the people in American history
Mm.
with Connor.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
that was a good one.
not only that, like the Industrial Revolution. I'm sure there might be. I'm forgetting. It's been a while since I played Syndicate. I might be forgetting some things.
Mm.
But like, say for example, with Odyssey. Odyssey, like quite literally, you meet the first assassin.
Mm.
the man who started the Brotherhood, who I forget. I think his name was Darius.
Mm.
I mean, Darius was a real person in history, if I'm not mistaken. He actually was real. And I mean, they also did that thing with Leonidas. All actual people who lived in history, there are records to show these people were real.
Mm. And Ibrahim, just to just give you a quick highlight, yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Switch and like Summer Games Fest and whatnot, but I wanted to kind of like focus back on Assassin's Creed and whatnot.
And I just think that the woke allegations, I can see why people are making them, but I feel like it's made by people who aren't looking at the bigger picture or who are making assumptions. Because if I really did consider it woke, I'd be right there next to them. But like I'd be like if it felt shoehorned, like if it was like
Yeah.
there's literally no reason at all
Mm.
other than inclusion, then I might agree with them. But since that is not the case, I don't see the reason for them to be upset like this. What they should be upset about,
Mm.
I will give them this. If they want to be upset about something, be upset about the inclusion of possible microtransactions or battle passes in the single player.
Ooh,
Now
that
that
single player battle.
I understand being upset about that.
All right.
Or the $129 collector's edition.
I mean, I think the 129 has been kind of normalized to a lot of games these days, so I don't really look at that a lot.
But like, I'm just saying, I feel like those are things that I more understand them getting upset about here.
That is true. I will agree with that.
Because Naue is a I mean, now I don't know if it's Naue or Naui. Because I'm not sure how to pronounce the E right there. Normally I've figured out how to pronounce most Japanese names, but this one is eluding me just a little bit.
Okay.
But this one right here, I mean, obviously she's probably an original character. However, they did make her father actually someone who I believe her father actually is someone who is regarded in actual Japanese history, and they had her in the actual historical place in Japan that is considered the birthplace of the shinobi.
Ah, all right, that's sick. That's sick.
And it makes sense because what are the two sets of warriors in Japan that would be helping or even warring with the Assassin's Brotherhood? The shinobi and the samurai. Because I think we all knew, because we've been waiting for the Japan setting for years, and I'm super hyped to finally see it. And of course, what we're seeing here is the assassin we had a feeling was probably going to be a shinobi.
Yeah, that just kind of lines up.
But people were like, why two separate characters? Why not just be one? I was like, well, if they said Ghost of Tsushima did it, why can't you? I'd be like, you'd just be saying they're copying Ghost of Tsushima.
I was going to have my take on like this quote unquote like woke I guess woke agenda that other people are like putting onto the game and the franchise as a whole. Part of me wants to think that it's a lot of ignorance. The fact that you don't know like who Yasuke is, because I didn't know who Yasuke is. So when I got that announcement of like the Netflix series, I'm like, wait, like Black Samurai? That's cool. And then I realized like, oh wait, like that's tight. Wait, oh, he's actually legit. Oh, that's even cooler.
So some people don't even know that there technically were a couple of white samurai as well.
That's crazy. You know what? That's a new one for me as well.
Yes, it's like, yes, there was a black samurai and there were maybe a couple of white samurai that were like people that were either washed up on Japanese shores or
Interesting.
traders that were maybe captured or something like that. I forget exactly the history behind it.
Okay.
But I do know there were a couple. Like, not a lot, but there were going to be considered a couple because, like, of certain reasons. But, yeah, it's like there have been non-Japanese samurai in the past. There's not many of them, but there were a couple. And
honestly, I'm looking at, you know, how they devised it to have like two split characters. Obviously, they've done that before. But my first initial impression is one that does look dope. It's like, look at their designs, bro.
Oh yeah, the design work.
It's like, whoo, ooh, that's clean. And then I was like, you know what? That makes sense because obviously you want to make Assassin's Creed feel like Assassin's Creed, but if you want to also kind of like embellish on a lot of the fighting mechanics that they start to adopt later on, then you could give that to Yasuke's character.
Yeah, like say for example, like I mean, if now was fighting like if now he was fighting like like Valhalla, like how you fight in Valhalla,
Mm-hmm.
that wouldn't make any sense for a shinobi.
Yeah.
For a samurai, it might.
And the cool thing is that when you see the trailer, like Yasuke's not just holding that sword; he also gets like this cool mace-like thing. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
the club, like, and yeah, they had that in For Honor as well. I forget what the exact name of the weapon is.
And I don't know the actual name of the spear, but I know it's usually termed as like the Naginata, like in Fire Emblem.
Oh
When
yeah, the Naginata.
yeah, so I'm like, yeah, you can see that too.
And of course, we see when Naoi is like going to the castle and she like jumps up. You see, I'm pretty sure she threw shurikens.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. She's got that.
Yeah, classic shinobi weaponry, shurikens. She might have like a wakizashi along with her hidden blade. Maybe we'll see.
That was sick. I can't believe I forgot about that. The fact that she
The
like
hidden
pulls
blade
out
I
the
find
hidden
very
blade, but then she like holds it. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, it can actually like do that. I was like, okay, that's cool.
yeah, that's cool. So you can be a lot because it's always so weird when you play through the old Assassin's Creed games. You just have like Ezio just like, yeah. I mean, he can make it work, but like that is kind of weird. Obviously, like as a like an armed weapon that works.
I mean, and that also makes me wonder if she's gonna do the finger thing.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, because I mean, like all assassins for their blade, like they lose their they lose their ring finger, don't they?
Yeah, they typically do. Yeah. I didn't really get to
Ring-
see it for her because I mean it's losing the finger is part of the ordered thing. It's just
It's like tradition.
it's both functional and like traditional in that
Yeah,
sense.
because it leaves that little gap between
Just
your
so
fingers where your
yeah,
blade
so
can
it's
come out of.
right. But if she just holds it anyways, then I would like to think that she keeps like the middle finger or not middle ring finger.
Right. I mean, like, 'cause since it can do that, where it can do that, like the little curve, I was like, no, maybe she can keep her hand, unless she can keep her finger, unless she wants to
Unless she really
stay
needs
true to
that.
the Brotherhood,
Yeah.
to where it's like we know in the modern day Assassin's Creed timeline, like in the modern Assassins, there is a male character who's ex Yakuza who is a part of the Brotherhood.
Okay. Wait, is that something that's unveiled in later Assassin's games?
Yeah, like in I think it's set in Valhalla and Odyssey.
Oh, all right, all right.
One of the males, he's part of the Japanese Brotherhood.
Cool.
Because like we know that there's different brotherhoods all throughout the world.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like of course there's I mean there's like we already know all about the ones all across Europe. There was the ones in the colonial United States. There's probably ones in modern United States. There's like there's some in Asia, like Japan. There's probably, if I had to assume, there's probably some in South America,
Quick,
probably
like,
some in Africa.
yeah, quick question about just like the whole timeline. Is there like a general narrative? Obviously, there's the constant fight against the Templars, but do you see like a timeline here where it's like here's where we're at right now, and this is the end goal that we want? Do you see that like in
Uh,
the
I'd
Assassin?
have to refresh my I'd have to refresh myself a little bit 'cause it's been a
Yeah.
while since I've played Origins through Valhalla. I mean, because like we do, if you've because I don't think you've played Valhalla, have you?
No, I have not. I do have the games though.
Yeah, because Valhalla, like that started something very interesting
All right, all right.
to the storyline that I did not expect. I was like, oh, oh, and of course, I still need to play Assassin's Creed
Mirage?
Mirage.
Yeah, yeah, all
I
right.
still need to play it.
So, what I have under my belt is Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, um
You played what?
3, Revelations. I forgot about Revelations. Origins, and I think that's it.
Really?
Think that's it, yeah. After that, it's been like really touch and go. So I'm missing I'm missing one. Um I mean the other ones oh yeah, Black Flag is one that I played before but just never finished. Unity. And whenever I think about Unity, I think about one, the engine, and two, Unibeam.
I had a very good experience with Unity. Honestly, I actually 100% of that game's achievements.
That's good. And then obviously I'm missing Odyssey, and well, as far as playing it, and then Valhalla, yeah,
Right.
and then Mirage, yeah,
and Rogue.
and Rogue. You're right. You're right. Oh, that was a
I guess
cool like setting for that one.
I guess also Liberation.
Yeah, that's true.
And then there's like the side scroller games if you count those.
That's also true. Yeah, you can still. I think you can still get that.
Assassin's Creed Chronicles.
Right, right, right. But yeah, no. Obviously, I'm pretty stoked with like the setting of this Assassin's Creed Shadows, because I've always liked the idea of like shinobis and like samurais and whatnot, and it just made sense in the Assassin's Creed like era. Where I was like, okay, so what's some alternatives? And it just made sense to have one in Japan too.
It fits so well.
Mm-hmm. Now, I guess there is a little bit of saturation in that department, like at present. I get that, but I think they'll be able to spruce it up to a point where like it is unmistakably Assassin's Creed like. So
Yeah, and
no need to worry about
like
it.
I said, people had said like, "Hey, well, why didn't you just make them one character? Just look at Jin from Ghost of Tsushima." I was like, well, then you just say it's fucking Ghost of Tsushima.
Right. They want to keep it true to Assassin's Creed, so I think that's kind of the best way to go as far
They
as
want to separate themselves a little bit, bro.
especially since they've been spending a lot of time with like create a character type of games.
This is true.
Or a character that could just do anything.
Right. I mean, we had that last time with Valhalla and Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was very much like, I mean, whether it be male or female character you choose, either way, it's like Eagle with what was his name?
Igor?
I think it was Igor and
Evo
Valhalla,
or
might have been.
Evor. Like
Ivor,
there's a,
that's what it was. Ivor.
yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Ivor. If you choose the male, I believe. I think it might be Ivor both ways. It might be. I think it's a unisex name, maybe.
I guess
But
it should
I do
be.
know
Yeah.
in Odyssey, like there's Cassandra, and then there's her brother Alexios.
Oh.
Whereas I know Cassandra is considered the canon one, but I personally played as Alexios.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course with Origins, it's just Bayek.
Yeah. Bike's my dude.
But Bayek was good.
Man, dude, that was a crazy time. Like, that is like the more recent memory of like Assassin's Creed that I played, and it was just a game that I just bought because it was on sale. And at first, it took me a while to really like get adjusted to the game. But then at a certain point, it just kind of clicked. Yeah, I just kept exploring, doing some side questing here and there. But yeah, I just kind of fell into the groove of just playing through that game. And I'm hoping that Odyssey, whenever I do get to that, will do the same. It might cause me a lot of burnout. It might cause a lot of burnout.
I mean, it's also cool considering your hidden blade is literally the spear of Leonidas. It's like, well, that's pretty cool.
It's like, geez. It doesn't feel like it's hidden if it's a whole ass spear.
Well, I mean, it's broken, so.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I see. It's the spear head.
So it makes it smaller.
Okay. I guess to kind of wrap up on Assassin's Creed like talks, apparently there was some issues. Well, not just because of the whole different bundles and whatnot. I guess there was a separate little statement that they were talking about here about wanting to just clarify about the upcoming launch of the game. People were asking about this. Assassin's Creed Shadows will not require a mandatory connection at all times. They're saying that an online connection will be needed to install the game, but you will be able to play the entire journey offline. Explore Japan without any online connection.
It makes sense that you'd need the internet connection to at least download information on the patches and shit like that.
I guess so. That still is kind of a bad taste for a lot of people, from what I understand, because essentially you need to have online connections. So at some point, unless you decide to like do something different with like a different version of the game, and in a hypothetical future where you don't have that, then if this game is just taken off like the store, for example, then a lot of hypotheticals, by the way, then people wouldn't be able to play it like later on in life. I say that we don't have to worry too much about that, but I understand that concern. because it would just be nice to be able to like take the disc and then download all the information just through that, and then you could just run it. But I guess like we're so like embedded with like the need to have an online connection that, you know, games have followed suit with that. But after that, you know, you can play offline. So I think it works like for the present time for resolutions. But that's kind of the last thing we have about Assassin's Creed. Any other gripes that people have about it, or just something I just have not heard of yet? And then I can talk about this last bit real quick, but you know what? I want to go jump back into what Ibrahim was saying earlier. He was talking about the new Nintendo Switch, also just for future editor topic, right? Future Justin. Although nowadays, I guess I typically just like read it based off of like the VOD already uploaded. So yeah, so that might not be necessary. But Ibrahim was saying something about, you know, the new Nintendo Switch will probably, or sorry. Oh yeah, I was reading the same thing. I also think that the new Nintendo Switch will be announcing at Summer's Games Fest. So that's interesting. I don't think I've quite heard it like that. From what we understand, obviously, we have like a time frame in which, you know, the Switch 2 will have an announcement pretty much everywhere, like before March of 2025. In addition to that, the June Direct will not have anything about the Switch 2, which is kind of really close to the Games Fest, if not like prior to that. But that would be crazy if, you know, Jeff and his team just had access to announce and talk about the Switch 2. I don't think that's going to happen though, because Nintendo is the type to just do things on their own terms since leaving E3. And probably prior to that. But
I mean, I was gonna say they kind of always have been those people.
Yeah, they've always been wanting to do their own thing. So I mean, I can talk my prediction, but I know for sure that the June Direct is essentially Summer's Game Fest for Nintendo specifically, and to talk about the games for the latter half. My prediction is that we're either going to have like a September Direct focused on this new piece of hardware, that, or even after like a September Direct, we just get an announcement that just says, "Hey, we're dropping the trailer for our first look at the Switch 2. We'll go live in a couple hours," and like that's it. And then we'll probably hear a little bit more about it in 2025. That's my current prediction right now. And I think they're just not really wanting to like push that forward yet. They definitely want people to continue like buying more Switch software and hardware so they can meet that number.
For as long as possible.
That's true. As long as possible, honestly. So, yeah, I'm thinking that they won't have anything to share just yet for the Switch 2. Not even like in June. That is an interesting thought, though. They could do it. Well, sorry, what was I gonna say prior to that? Oh yeah. Oh geez, dude. More layoffs. It's a sad day because this is Phoenix Lab. They developed Fae Farm, and they also have done Dauntless. You know, the Monster Hunter like one. We played it before, right. Yeah. It's laying off over 100 people because they're working on some other stuff here. They also canceled work on other like projects in the studio. That's just, yeah.
This is just from the layoffs in the gaming industry in general.
Yeah, it's almost like exactly reflecting on, you know, sales and whatnot and profits, which yeah, that does make sense.
It's also because like I think the gaming industry it was still inflating to a degree. Like, you know, it's like
true.
Like, and also like, you know, you're waiting. People were like, it's gonna pop. People were like, no, it's not gonna pop. You're wearing real thing. But it just went. They were like, whoops.
Oh. And you know what? It kind of ties back into, well, not everything ties back to it, but it kind of ties into like COVID and how, you know, people wanted to do something like while they weren't like away from work or just doing stuff remotely and whatnot. So we just had, from what I understand, this is kind of like the Spark Notes version of this, but they essentially hired a lot of people like all over the gaming industry to help work on games. like a lot of games. And now we're kind of out of, out of COVID for a little bit. Albeit there's still cases here and there, but definitely people are returning back to like work, and demands for other things have been rising. So there's just a huge like flux of like workers that's costly to keep. So if they don't get the numbers, then they have to let some people go. And that's kind of the unfortunate thing that we saw like with Xbox, especially in the Bethesda like side of things, where a lot of their studios there just kind of had to go, despite Tango GameWorks actually like reeling in awards for Hi-Fi Rush, which sucks. I'm sad again.
Oh,
Yeah. Even though I don't play Faith Farm, Dauntless was fun, and it's just kind of a shame that like it just had to happen like that. Especially if it's one of those things where like, let me see. Yeah, I think let me see what I have here on my notes here. They're reorganizing Phoenix Labs to focus on some best in class live service titles. Dauntless and Faith Farm. Yeah. So, live service is the name of the game, and that's a hard one to like kind of get yourself into, especially for long term. Now, if you talk to like Hoyoverse about that, they're dude, I can't even say. They're in a league of their own, and I get it.
Hoyoverse just sitting over here like, we
know.
dabble.
Yeah, dude. If Xbox really had them somehow like talks were able to get through, and they were able to acquire Hoyoverse.
If they acquired Hoyoverse, that would be wild.
Then Chai would literally be in Honkai Star Rail or Genshin as a character.
Now announcing another collab between Xbox and Nike, Goddess of Victory.
Oh God. What was it? The character 808 would be like a party animals like skin.
You hit her and you see her cheeks jiggle.
Xbox. Well, I mean that's all like just hypothetical stuff. I only bring it up because Hoyoverse only had like 1 year in with Honkai Star Rail. They're working on like what was it, Zenless Zone Zero. So that's
another game they're working on.
Another game that they're working on, and going back to Star Rail, that's only like about a year old, if not more.
It's like a year, I think.
And they just had a concert. They're doing fine.
It's a huge. Honkai's a huge success.
Sheesh, dude. Like I don't even know what they're cooking over there. Like, man, dude. So even though like we definitely joke around here about like Genshin, Honkai Star Rail, but no, I'm like incredibly envious of that. I would love to jump into that.
I never do that. Phil might, but I don't.
Yeah, I guess when I say like we, I really mean myself and Phil, and it's mainly Phil who starts that up.
I was here to say I don't think I've ever heard you shit talk to any of those two.
This like I think. Well, Genshin really scratches like the Breath of the Wild itch, and definitely stands to be its own like type of thing for sure. When you're not thinking about like the climbing aspects of the food and whatnot, like there's an actual like story around it. Obviously, with gacha games, it's big on like characters and whatnot to get
characters, because characters are what get you profit.
Yeah, and it's just a winning strat, and Honkai just has that in spades. They just come up with like really good characters and like their designs and everything like that. I'm looking at Honkai Star Rail, and one of the more recent characters, Firefly. I've been like kind of like watching closely about like this character because she seemed like a regular character. There's like a little cute little cutscene / I guess date that your main character and her go on, regardless of your gender or anything like that. So it looks like you guys are like close friends, and then some time later on in the new setting, Penacony, you go back to her, and like this dream monster thing goes in and just like without like hesitation kills her, and people are just kind of left with that for like a good version, And then like latter versions, like, oh no, she's okay, it's just it's a dreamscape type of thing. Oh geez, dude.
I was about to say, huh?
And then you find out that she has an alter, like there's a version of her that you don't get to see until it gets like revealed to you in like the most like recent like version of it, where this entity called Sam, it's like this like humanoid like Power Rangers looking dude, and causes trouble for you in your group. But it turns out that's Firefly. She does henshin. And she's able to, she can turn into this thing, and obviously she becomes like a playable character. And so she enters battle in her like Sam like mech like suit, and she does cool stuff with it. It's like crazy. But yeah, they go crazy with other characters as well. I didn't know I was gonna go with that, but yeah, you know what? Shout out to Hoyoverse. I guess I can only really say it now because Phil's not in the room. But there was something else I wanted to bring up. I don't think it's video game related. I think we went through all the games. I think we could talk about anime. Mark, we could talk about anime. Let me say, Kaiju number 8 is produced pretty well. They have a simulcast with that.
Yeah, Kaiju number 8's great.
It's really good. Like, I love how they worked with the character designs, and it's not like overly detailed with these characters and their expressions and whatnot.
I'll tell you right now, it's not 1-to-1 with the manga. It's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do a different approach with this one. I think it's
in
like
terms of the character art, that is.
Yeah. I think
if you look at the manga and then you look at the anime, it's like the anime has definitely rounded their faces out a bit.
Yeah.
That's why, like, and you might see it. You might not have thought about it, but you might when I say it.
All right.
It kind of remind me of Boruto characters.
Smash cut to Boruto, Himawari. Everyone just rounded out.
You see what I'm saying?
And it was funny as I thought about Sasuke's character, where he had the pointed chin in Naruto, and then there was this one good uppercut that Naruto does, and then Boruto, he's just flat chinned.
No, my chisel jaw.
Jeez, dude. But yeah, I get what you mean.
Great.
It's really good. I will say, first of all, that ending slaps. The ending song, it's great. That opening though is kind of mild.
I like it. It's not my favorite, but I can get down to like.
I think the opening song doesn't feel like an opening song, and I think that gets further supported with the opening sequence not feeling like an opening sequence of an anime, but it feels like.
Is that because of two different things? It being 3D and it being in English?
No, honestly, it's not the English part of it. It's the fact that like the opening is just kind of like a visual space of just like panning here and there. Some like it just doesn't really cut to like characters. It's just kind of.
It's mostly showing off the kaiju.
It's more, yeah, it's an abstract like conception of like all these different kaijus and whatnot.
And then we do see and Kafka.
And then at the like
see Kafka and Hoshino.
Yeah, and then it cuts to top. It feels like, correct me if I'm wrong, it kind of feels like a Netflix original anime opening prior to them letting animation studios do that on their own, because Delicious in Dungeon, like it's totally good with the opening sequence, and as the show as a whole, like that's a whole separate topic as far as like
great.
As far as like how the show is. But there was a time and place where like even Yasuki kind of like falls victim of this too, where it has a Netflix opening that's a little bit more, abstract. And I feel like that's the exact same with Kaiju number 8. Then this is like an artistic choice. I'm not gonna like grade it for that, but it kind of just lacks some of the elements I'm used to seeing in a lot of anime openings, where they usually will pan to characters just doing things. Like the standard, like how you describe like
the character's definitely running right now.
Yeah, he's right. Like they're either running or they're falling out of the sky. There's like
That's
action
why I
involved.
say like I think it's breaking the stereotype in a sense, and you're like, wait, you could do that.
Mm-hmm. Because
It's also like what I found really interesting with the openings and endings for Kaiju #8 was that these were Western artists.
yeah,
That threw me for a loop because I was like, wait, this isn't early 2000s America where we had English dub openings.
You also kind of hear that here and there, like during certain segments of like the show. Like I think the more recent one is the training montage, where like prior to them actually going on their first mission, they just have like several training sessions, and you'll hear like English. So I almost said English, English like lyrics. Gotta watch yourself. Got to watch. You gotta watch your back. As I'm talking to myself on that. Yeah, so they have English lyrics like incorporated there. So I don't know who's like working on like the general like music in the show, but it definitely has a lot of Western influence. Also, if you just like listen to it as a whole, like you don't really hear like the standard orchestral stuff or just like their own spin on things. Like it's definitely more like electronic.
Oh yeah, it's got more electronic, some guitar and stuff mixed in.
I kind of like it. I think it kind of elevates it like in its quality. So
and it's like, did you see the recent episode that came out today?
Yeah, I did.
Hey, there's that one sound effect. I don't know what it is. Like what the artillery is like going, like they're like lining up and they turn over to where they turn their missiles over to where the monster is.
Yeah.
That that sound effect. I'm just like, what is that sound effect?
I didn't quite hear that. I think I might have just been listening to like the ambient like track, but I did not quite hear that. But I get what you mean.
It's just, I know they had that in trailers for Kaiju #8 too. I've heard that one. I was like, what is that sound? I don't know what to relate this sound to.
Someone's cooking in the studio. Someone like, yeah.
If it's for a kaiju, I guess, like a monster, it's like that's what it sounds like. It's like, what the fuck is that sound?
Oh.
And of course, one of the big things when Kaiju #8 first popped on the scene was Kafka, the protagonist, his age.
Oh yeah. He's 31 or 32.
He's like 31, 32 years old.
Yeah. And that's kind of like a key thing.
Man.
Yeah, he's someone who could not like perform well to pass initially and was going to quit. And he got the extra push at the end.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and like for someone who's not the most physically fit, he did good.
Mm-hmm. I'm happy that he was able to kind of go through all that without having to use his powers. Most of it.
The bath scene where he's sucking it in.
Yeah, dude. Truer words have never been spoken before.
The body of a working man. And you can see he's like struggling to hold in the air. And his gut just comes out.
The craziest things, the fact you have to consider the fact that he is holding in his kaiju transformation even then. And then just like
I mean, besides the other dude that came in, I forget his name at the moment, he's like the fittest guy there who was shredded, might I add.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he probably was the other most fit person there. Like, he was the most bulky.
Yeah. Everyone kind of has like a standard frame, and then Kafka's over here. He's got big arms. The dad bod.
Yeah, he's got big arms, good chest, and a strong back. But like he's got a gut.
Yeah, and he's working on it. We're all working on it. You see him running.
Yeah, and of course the others, it's more like standard build, bit of muscle here and there.
Yeah, and then you just have like this one dude. He's legitimately shredded.
Oh yeah, he's a fucking beast.
If you guys haven't seen like this, is a quick aside, the Demon Slayer, like the newest arc where they're training everybody under the
that first
Hashira's.
episode was good.
Yeah, under Hashira's like supervision.
Ripped.
Everyone's ripped, and they're still struggling.
Dude, why are they all so ripped?
Listen, dude, if you have to fight demons that just are they're like actually better than you in every like aspect, if you're going to fight against them, you best be at your best and then some.
Like, bro, they're all so jacked,
dude. And it's like and they're still considered like really weak.
Even Zenitsu, you still Zenitsu the show like, bro, he's so jacked.
You kind of forget that Tanjiro is also the same way too.
Yeah, it's right, but it's true. Tanjiro shows he's also jacked.
Like Tanjiro is like the softest boy, but yet you see him and you're like, oh, that's right, he is shredded.
And
Homie's dead voted.
The first episode with the 48-minute first premiere, it was good.
That was good, yeah. I forget if
Like,
I watched that. No, I don't think I watched the premiere of that one. It was the other one last time.
Oh, you haven't watched the first episode of the season yet?
I did watch the first episode. I just never I didn't get to do one of those movie premiere where you get to like watch a little bit of that.
Oh, you mean like at the movies?
Yeah, the movie premiere one. I did that for the previous arc. I was with Aniyah at the time, and for this one, I just didn't have time to do it. But
Oh, yeah, see, I'm just talking about just watching the episode in general.
yeah, watching the episode in general, yeah, it was 48 minutes. It was a good amount of time just to kind of let all the pieces like fall into place.
The opening fight was cool.
Mm.
Getting to see with the wind and snake Hashiras.
Yeah, I like that.
The snake. I wanted to see the snake breathing because I hadn't looked at it very much, but seeing it, I was like, that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, did we finish everything we want to talk about Kaiju number 8? I think we did.
Kaiju number 8. I forget exactly. Let me double check because I want to see how many episodes it is doing this season because that'll tell me how far we're gonna get.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because I do read the manga, so I want to just see.
Gotcha,
12 episodes. 12 episodes, and we're on episode 6. So that means, and we're at this arc. I want to say. So we might be finishing this arc, and then they might tease the next arc for season 2, if I had to guess.
Fair enough. Because I guess, shoot, honestly, I know where we're kind. Well, actually, I haven't really caught up either, but I'm definitely have read up on certain aspects of it. So
where did you where did you leave off?
Shoot, it's when they find out, and now Kafka is like under like other orders and whatnot.
Yeah, like when they were trying to observe him, see if he was really an ally or not.
Yeah, and things go well and everything like that, but I forget. I get a little hazy as far as like, what is he doing now? Like at that point. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm like, well, there's definitely a lot of time prior to that too.
Right, because like if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's at the end of this current arc, the arc that just started. I'm pretty sure at the end of this arc is when he is exposed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the pacing that they're doing is it's solid. There's a solid pacing.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, there's not a ton of material to adapt. Because let me just do a quick search. Yeah. Currently, Kaiju number 8 is sitting at manga chapter 106.
Oh, wow. I guess, yeah, they've been taking their sweet time with, like, the releases, so...
Yeah, it's like a bi-weekly release sometimes.
Well, that's good. It might be one of those that, like, yeah, you won't really see it for, like, a good while, but... You know, like, when they got, like, everything set up, then it should be good to go. I'm curious to see how, they adapt, if they ever do, the One Swordsman manga that's currently going right now.
One Swordsman
the memed
manga.
one.
Oh, Kagurabachi?
Yeah, there we go.
Kagurabachi's good.
Yeah, so I've heard. And I forget, was it Horikoshi that gave praise to it? It was one of them.
Horikoshi said that he really liked it. He said it's like watching a movie.
Yeah, so I'm like, I want to kind of see how they would then emulate that.
Yeah, like the first 3 episodes.
Or illustrate it, yeah.
I don't know, like the first 3 chapters are actually pretty, like, because I'm saying the first 3 episodes are pretty rare in terms of they actually got a like one of those like edited videos with voice acting and stuff like that on Jump's official YouTube channel in English. Like, you know, with English subtitles and everything.
Okay.
I think it's because they'd seen that it was starting to get a very big Western fan base. I would definitely recommend checking out. I would recommend checking it out because it is a good series.
Yeah. It's crazy that I mean, I guess it isn't crazy since like the culture is like that with shonen especially, where it really is like it's based on popularity, otherwise you're out. And
Yeah, it's like it's one of the parts where it's like it can be stressful for a mangaka because it's like, well, my series has to be popular or else.
mhm. I guess you can kind of say the same thing about, Spy Family. That creator, that's not his real main kit. Like he used to do a lot of like different vague, if lack of better words, maybe creepy like types of like manga where it's a little bit more on the horror side, but and then Spy Family pops off and it's like, yeah, well, it's not really what I like to do, but but he's doing great with Spy Family, so he's just kind of keeping it up.
Oh, I saw Abe and he's like, in the recent manga leak of JJK. Yes, I have.
Oh yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen, dude.
It's
Like,
wild, bro. It's wild.
mm, like just even taking the manga for like aside, like obviously a lot of people like clinged on to like season 1, obviously 0, and then like the following season, like that season, more recent one, just,
Shibuya blew it the fuck up.
dude, I
Like the Shibuya arc has it not only was like worldwide probably known, like it was just that popular, but it also just it's done a wonders for the tourism in Shibuya.
true, you are not wrong about that. There are videos out there just showing like, oh, this is where this happened, this is where that happened in the fight.
This is where the fucking crater is.
This is where the crater is. This is where reanimated Toji tossed the disc over his son.
This is where Toji stomped on the ground and just poked these bullets.
Oh my god!
He just poked the stone, dude. That was sick.
I think that's an anime only, right? And yeah, that was like, hey,
Yeah,
let's.
that was an anime original move, and I was like, that's pretty sick.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was insane.
They did, dude. Anytime Toji is on the screen, that man is about to be a menace.
It's so insane that they created that they had that character like introduced like in that same like season essentially, and they were somehow able to really like size them up to be such a menace that everyone recognizes that. And God,
It's like if you recognized him, you recognize him. But here's the thing: even if you don't actually just recognize who he is in the series, they all recognize that this dude's a problem.
mm-hmm.
It's because heavenly restriction.
True.
It's also the fact of man's just a beast.
Yeah, he's just crazy strong, dude. When he blitz
You are my
grandma.
special cue the trauma.
Dude, people were having like a blast when like he did like the initial like walk up towards grandma. People were like, "Oh, no, this is flashed up like immediately."
Oh yeah, oh she's dead. Yeah, oh she's fucked. She's so fucked.
But and that's not even like talking about like Itadori's like fights. Like he has like a fair number of them.
Especially in the manga right now. Good lord.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's throwing hands like a lot of them. But yeah, no expense here.
Is the one.
No expenses over in like the Shibuya arc. He's just fighting for his life when he's not Sukuna.
I mean, dude, Yuji can throw some hands, man. When it comes to throwing hands in Jujutsu Kaisen, he is him.
It's true. But man, dude, that was that was a very intense one when everyone was watching every single episode with such an intense like anticipation for it.
Not to mention with the Blu-ray release, we got the entire fight between Sukuna and Maharaga.
Mm-hmm.
Which was I watched it. I watched the entire fight scene that was included in the Blu-ray, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
He's just at a different level. Like he's consumed several fingers at that point.
It's not only that; it's just, dude, the animators. Good lord.
Yeah, They haven't seen their family in years at this point.
I mean,
Mappa.
but whenever I explain to people what the conditions are like at Mappa when it comes up, I say, "Do you know how long it took to make Jujutsu Kaisen 0, a movie of that quality? Take a guess." They say 2 years.
4 months.
4 months, dude. And
they go,
Oh,
and even I don't even know exactly like the process of like actually creating like a pretty decent like, anime as far as animations. And you tell me that Jujutsu Kaisen 0 was like just 4 months.
it's like,
It's a movie, sure, but like
what did you do to them?
they saw a vision where it's like, listen, if you do really well, we promise conditions will be better.
I mean, dude, even if you look at it, like the thing that
Wink,
makes you
wink.
even more flabbergasted about it being in 4 months is the level of quality it was in.
It was
4
also
months.
very true. Like they have some very talented artists, though. Granted, maybe well, I mean, I don't even know their 100% conditions, but I just hope the best for them.
Oh yeah, and people were pointing out the irony that Mappa's making that new one now, like that that new.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, the one where it's like it's about an animator. Is that coming out soon or?
I don't know, but like I'll definitely watch it because I'm interested.
Yeah, like it's gonna be super meta, but I'll watch it.
Yeah, because I mean, like, and at least from what we've seen in the trailer, the guy seems to have the guy or girl. I don't know what I couldn't really tell, but I think they have the they definitely have that attitude of someone who's like, more animation, bring it on.
Oh boy.
So I'm wondering if that'll be reflective of it. I'm sure there are some animators who are like that, but I'm
Yeah,
also sure that's not
they're
gonna
just too good and they're prideful of it.
There's no like I don't think it's gonna be representative of all the animators.
Mm-hmm. Some of our, what? You can imagine like them like really drawing in the frames and they're just kind of like assuming positions like the same way as the character. Like, well, yeah, it is like that. And dude, what else is there? Oh, you know what? I always got to give a shout out whenever I can. Laid Back Camp, everybody. Will save your life.
Justin's goated series.
Listen, I'm not sure if anyone knows about the meme that goes on where it's like, don't kill yourself. Chili's will save you.
Chili's will save you.
And since having that like dinner over at Chili's recently, I agree. Don't do that. Chili's will save you. But for me, it's like Laid Back Camp will save you.
Laid Back Camp will help you relax.
Take my advice, everybody. If you ever have like a really shit day, just pull up an episode like no, watch Laid Back Camp for like the 8th time. I promise you, it gets better. It will get better for your life. I promise you. Laid Back Camp will save you. And currently they're in I forget which season it is at this point. I think it's season 3. They started off with the animation with season 1 and then season 2, and then they actually had a movie which took place like about a decade after the events. And then they're like, you know what? We got another one in us. Season 3, baby. And that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, because they did. I think they did announce the culling game arc for JJK.
Oh, sorry. Still talking about Laid Back Camp as well.
Sorry, I got sidetracked for a second. I was like,
I was like, wait, what? Oh, God, Laid Back Camp, not the colon game, bro.
The Laid Back Camp colon game arc, don't you know?
No, this is not Delicious in Dungeon, I swear to you. Dude, I will say that, hold on, let me finish this thought about Laid Back Camp. Currently, latest episode has been kind of a trip. They usually play things like straightforward as far as like, oh, we go here, I enjoyed like this experience, go here, enjoy this experience, have a little bit of a existential like thought process of like how things are in the present world and how I'm just living it. And they decide to go a little bit more off the rails here with a episode where they're just kind of recalling the events of a camp trip that happened off camera, and they decide to have a little bit of fun of it. They pretty much like took the memory and they decide to ad lib it where like they include dogs in there just cause. And I was like, I wish I had that power. I'm glad they illustrated this.
I like
then-
his Unukai's dog.
Yeah, it's actually like it's two dogs actually. So we had the little corgi chihuahua like one, and we just have a Samoy dog character that's just from a popular TV show that they watch. So they're just like, we're just gonna throw him in there. They don't actually exist there, but you know what? We like dogs. We would love to have dogs like on our trips all the time. So I'm like, I appreciate that.
I'm sure there's somebody in that area IRL who. I mean, there's just so many people, so I'm sure that at least one of them might have a Samoyed.
Well, certainly. Honestly,
Just imported.
considering that like Layback Campus just put that out into the universe just by like presenting it, I'm pretty sure people have like jumped in on that. I think I've already told you about. I told you about
to keep the hair short.
Yeah. Well, honestly, like, well, the idea with Layback Camp is like a lot of camping off season. So no summers or barely any spring. It's kind of more like fall and winter, like camping. And the main reason that we have that as a focus is that our main character Rin at the time is like, oh, I only do that because I can avoid all the bugs. And she's right. She's right.
I mean, that's good though, because I mean, this is it'll be nice and cozy in winter.
Ain't no way Automod like caught on Twitch Ibrahim like calling the N-word dog, but it's replaced with bees instead, if you know what I mean. It caught that. It's like, we know they censored like that word, and we're gonna cover that.
You mean the bigger dog?
Yeah. But he was trying to say the word, but he had to obviously censor it. But Twitch caught that censor and recognized that as a censor of the actual word, and so they so they flagged it.
Trying to say it.
Yeah, I allowed it, but it's like, that's funny. Twitch, you funny.
You see, I understand if the bot understood what wigga meant, because wigga is usually one that's used to be like,
to designate your like white friend as a homie. You know, I get that.
my wigga. But like, like I've never heard of. I did not know that it would pick up on bigga.
I get you. I understand. Going forward, I will no longer refer to anybody as a ninja. I got it.
Call me the N-word, Naruto.
You're my Naruto. You're my Nakama.
You're my Nakama.
I think if they really just censored that, I think Aniyah would actually have a riot and would never stream on Twitch ever again.
He's just like, and that's the end of my streaming career.
That's the end of my streaming career. Like, obviously, no is not allowed. So, what can I do? I guess I'll go on Kick or something.
He's a One Piece fan, though. He's all about Nakama.
Exactly. But the idea of like what Twitch would do for that, crazy. Anyway, it's that episode of Layback Camp is just kind of like a more like, it's a much more fun one where like they're just kind of distorting like the space just because it's like, oh, imagine if this was happening while you were telling that story, and they illustrated pretty well on that, and that's all I really wanted to say on that. And I remember that there was something else I wanted to bring up prior to that, but I wanted to put that on pause, but I don't remember what it was. I will say that time I got reincarnated as a slime, the anime, is doing well. It's currently running its like third season, and it's kind of suffering from like a trope that I know a little bit too well, and that's having an established world and having like politics and government stuff getting involved. So it's a lot of like talking between like characters here and there, and less action, but it's just a natural like effect. What's season 2?
AOT season 2. I mean, that was a big complaint that AOT season 2 had, was all the politics.
True. So true. And then they somehow figured it out. I was like, not bad. Man, dude, Attack on Titan at its peak in 2012 was crazy.
Broop.
I think that really opened up like a whole gateway of people to anime just with that. And
absolutely, for a fact.
Let me think. I think there was something else I wanted to bring up, but I think that's kind of it as far as like anime I've just been watching so far. I understand that Jobless Reincarnation, Mushoku Tensei, is still going, and they just kind of wrapped up on like their arc at home, and now they're going on an adventure. Although it's a little bit more darker than just saying we're going on an adventure.
I'm not crying at the latest episode. You're crying.
That was kind of rough. That last episode.
I'm so happy for them though.
Yeah, but he gotta go. He gotta go, bro.
Just the whole that's that moment between them. It's like I didn't the last season. I did not expect myself to get as emotional as I did when he recognized it was Sylvie.
Mm.
Dude, that hit me so hard. I was.
That's rough, dude. Oh, dude,
how they realized it was Sylvie? I was like, I didn't cry, but I felt the tears of my eyes. I was like, why is this hitting me so hard? I was like, it's because it's so wholesome and cute.
It is really wholesome and cute. I have no way to like chaining up to the next show because it really is a stark difference from that. Dude, Konosuba.
It's so good.
It holds up as far as the jokes. The recent episode, I gotta say, like Cosmo's outfit is actually kind of fire. I'm not gonna lie. Hold on. Their fits are actually kind of cool.
Him getting serious, I was like, dude, the Ultra Instinct theme just kicked in.
Dude, you know with that character, like he gets serious. And I'm glad that they don't play it off like where it's like it's a huge stark difference. He's still like very much so a goofy character, just getting serious about this. So I'm glad.
Still freeze.
and another freeze.
Another freeze. I was like, the way he said freeze, that just killed me. Freeze.
And then he proceeds to nearly waterboard like the other dude.
Create the water.
Crazy.
It was so funny.
Man, dude. I do like the introduction of like these like sacred like items that Cosmo now has to be like looking out for. And
my man found the magic money hammer and Ares took it. He's like, why?
I'm sad for him. I honestly would be upset. Honestly, if I found out that was Chris who like stole it from me, it'd be on site. It would be on site. Or either that or just not even give her the time of day like he was initially. He's like, no, I'm not even gonna listen. This is gonna.
When she came to his room to ask for help, he said, no.
I'm not gonna live with that.
He said, anytime I listen to this kind of thing, I always end up in trouble.
And he's right. He's right.
And then he realizes, wait, this could make me look good to get me back in the castle.
All right, I'm in.
He's like, quickly, let's go. Got obliterated by a thing of cobalt. He was doing so good too.
That episode where it really was just him and Ares, like just in that space. And I think a lot of people resonate with the fact that like they felt like they needed to double check in case they paused the video.
Dude, I know, it was such a long silence.
It was such a long silence, and the reason I never actually paused was that I could see the mist in the background still moving. I was like, they're actually playing this out.
It was so long. I was sitting there, I was like, holy shit, this is such a long, awkward silence.
Can you imagine like that meeting, like that very day of animating that? Like, we just want you to just make the particles move in the background. That's it. For like
just completely still otherwise.
Like 15 seconds of that. And they're like, what the? Aight.
Bro, they really just wanted to let him marinate in the awkward silence. I was like, oh no. Not to mention him just living it up in the mansion every morning, just doing the same thing.
Dude, it's a combination of him like just completely sprawled out and the nice musical score that they decided to treat us with.
with the shoujo-esque Kazuma.
Yeah.
and he gets the butler's name wrong every single time.
Hide all this. Yeah, hide all this.
It's like each time he gets just a different name that the butler's like that's not it.
I think that's like one of my favorite like bits like with Darkness is the fact that she calls him out on everything. It's like, what's wrong? You know, say what you want to say. Don't be acting all shy and all that. You literally tell this to us on the daily. Why are you acting all shy now?
Not only that, you also got like, oh man, all the goofiness with like they're trying to rob it, and then Aqua's just sitting there, and he's just like, oh, she's gonna ruin this drunk.
She like that's crazy to me because she's obviously known as the useless like goddess, right? And she's actually causing the most inconvenience for Cosmo to get this done.
I don't know, it's like the steal worked a little too well.
That too. I actually like that segment. It was like it was a double steal, and it was unironically kind of hard. I was like that's actually kind of dope for them to do that, and obviously they got it done. But then, yeah. I was really I was very concerned if he were to steal panties. I would have been really because I would have told him to drop it immediately. Just don't even like associate with it. Just forget that even don't even show it in the frame. Don't even do that. But when I find out it's like it's the ring, it's like, oh, there's some big stuff about that.
And I mean, I had a feeling she knew.
I wasn't so sure. I know the Darkness knew, of course, but yeah. But the fact is that she knows. I feel a little bit more relieved for Cosmo's sake. At least he doesn't like break ties like that. I personally would have asked him to just sneak in and then just kind of like leave it somewhere so she can just pick it up. But now he has to die with that thing.
Also, the funny thing of like one of the funniest parts of the beginning of the season with they're passing by the monster.
Oh, that one.
It's like she's like,
don't kill
me.
It's like,
and then like and then she's like, if I'm gonna die, I guess I'm dying. At least I was able to finally talk to people. And then like Cosmo's like,
all right.
Like he wanted to take her down like so much sooner, but they kept letting her talk more. He's like, ah.
And then when he doubles back and he's like, oh, you know what? I should probably warn her. And immediately, fun.
And she's like, man,
I could have done this. Could have done that.
She's doing like that clicking.
Yeah.
And then she lays back. Might as well photosynthesize. You see Cosmo just staring her down.
We can still be friends.
He's like, friends? You don't tell? And then he's like, why?
Immediately.
He's like, you could talk normally this whole time. He comes back. Cosmo, you're back. Are you good? Did you everything you had to do? Did you take a bathroom? Did you use the bathroom? Was it a big one? Wait, no.
But yeah, it's really good so far. They typically end each season with like taking down another like demon lord of one of like the commanders, if not general.
One of the generals.
Yeah. So I wonder how they're going to like. Obviously, they've been taking their sweet time with this one. Just kind of like take another sidetrack because obviously they've been working at it.
How will they top Sylvia?
I don't know. They even had her brought back in the first episode.
PTSD. He had PTSD.
As one would, I suppose.
I mean, they did say Cosmo was psychologically scarred.
He was. But apparently, what was it? The orcs, that wasn't enough, per se. But Sylvia was.
The orc streamer, he's like, he trips. Cosmo! They were so aggressive.
Aqua had to console him.
Yeah.
But yeah,
like, dude, the Sylvia scene is legendary.
It really is legendary.
Sylvia-san, Sylvia-san.
Why is there something? Why do I feel something poking out to my butt? Because there is.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
The fact when she gets him, arigatou gozaimasu. It's just like, no, I shouldn't be saying that. And like, you know, you just hear if you pay attention, you hear just like you hear him breathing.
Yikes.
And then of course, like when she drops him, and he just like, take me.
Oh yeah, there's there are a lot of good moments in the season 2. They have reintroduced, and it just kept as a recurring gag of him like speed walking past everything. He has multiple like after images of himself.
I know.
And whenever they just like pull another one of those, it's great.
I mean, oh yeah, not to mention like I forgot once he's actually pulled in, like he's just hanging his arms from
Yeah.
the boobs, and he's just like he's just talking to them, and he's just saying, here, don't you see, Miss Sylvia? Just do that. He just keeps smelling.
That was it. Really was like. It looks like he kind of willingly let himself get caught. No, dude.
I know. He's like, well, of course not.
Of course not. This feels nice.
He said it's so strange. It's I feel it's a perfect fit. It feels so safe. It's like I found the sanctuary I've always been looking for.
Y'all don't understand my appreciation towards Sylvia.
The fucking
he was on another level. They know how to just write Cosma.
They just said like, and of course, I'm also part man myself, and he's just, you know, like, I got quiet. Say that again.
I'm sorry. What was that you were saying? Oh, I'm actually part man. See, even the boobs that you've been so attached to is something I just picked up along the way.
And she just squishes in between them, and then she does like the thrusting forward, and I was like, oh no. Season 2, I think season 2 had one of the funniest moments, like between Kazuma and Aqua, where like they're in the dungeon, all the monsters are running towards them. Lurk.
Oh yeah, and I think it was prior to. I think just a little prior to that, where he's like they're in the dark corridors, and he asks Aqua like, "Hey, do you see well in the dark?" Like, yeah, I actually have perfect 20/20 vision, and he's like, "Oh." So back at the barn, you know, when we're like sleeping in the haystack, you didn't notice anything weird. No, like I would hear some noises from you, and then I just turned my back away from you. He's like, "Thank you so much." He's
like, arigato, Aqua. It's like the face it was his face. And the way he said, he's like, "Thank you so much."
Thank you so much, Aqua-sama.
Thank you so much, Aqua-sama. It's like
Aqua-sama. My God.
Oh my gosh.
That show's crazy, dude. And you know what? English dub also benefits from it too. I should rewatch that.
Someone I watch on Twitch who's an artist, they speak English, but their main audience is Spanish because they're from Mexico.
Mm.
And like they were watching Konosuba on stream, so I got a chance to hear the Konosuba Spanish dub.
Mm.
Not bad, not bad.
Not bad. Not bad.
Not bad at all.
All right.
I can understand a word or two every now and then.
I know these words.
I do a couple of them, like, you know, like, because once you've had a lot of Hispanic friends, you eventually start to pick up on a couple words.
Gotcha. And yeah, I guess that's the same thing if you like just watch like Spanish stuff, probably.
That same thing with Japanese. I mean, like we've heard
we
so
watch
much
it.
Japanese that we've just been able to recognize what certain words mean.
Yeah. It definitely helps when you just have like constant English subs. Although I will say I've noticed that like some of it just doesn't seem quite right, and I think it's just all contextual stuff. So it's kind of interchangeable stuff.
It's also sometimes just what they interpret it as. They just sometimes they localize it, so it's not the exact translation, but it's like, well, it kind of means something like this.
Oh, dude. Okay. I have to say here, kind of real quick, going back to the laid back camp, because like this caught my attention a lot in the recent episode. They, God, there's no way I can really say without actually saying it. they say food porn twice.
They do?
I don't even know if they say it, but they English subtitle it. And then the episode preview title just says food porn. I was like, what are they doing?
I mean,
They're flying so close to the sun. I don't know if they can keep getting away with that.
I'm sure that there's people in Japan who know what that is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they know. But like for us watching it, like, I mean, we know what I get what you mean by that, but like also,
it's like we perfectly understand what you mean by that, but we're wondering if that was the intended translation or not.
That's true. Yeah, that was kind of weird for me to see it the first time. I was like, ain't no way she just said that. And she says it with the English sub the second time. I'm like, that's weird. What's going on? And then the preview title, I was like, oh, they're committed.
It's like, say for example, like with Cammy from My Hero, I'm pretty sure like even I can't remember because I do remember seeing the fan translation somewhat, I think, and I think it was similar to what the official English one was. So I think that's pretty much what Horikoshi was going for, using like more modern like American or Western slang for Cammy. So I think that's one where it's not exactly localization, but it's pretty much exactly what he was trying to do.
Gotcha.
But then there's sometimes where it's like, say with Nagatoro, I think they had Nagatoro say sus.
Oh, yeah. Sus.
Where I was like, well, that wasn't at all what was said in the translation, but well, all right. I guess you could say it that way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So I remember what I wanted to say. I wanted to say that Delicious in Dungeon is probably my favorite anime, like currently. It is
of the year.
I guess I would say of this year.
Of the year or in general?
I would say of this year, and depending on like, you know, where it goes, like for the next couple episodes, I might even say, I'm not sure if I could say of all time. It might be up with the rankings of everything. I guess I would
Top
say. 10? Yeah, I guess probably put it in a top 10. Like if you were to ask me like what's like one of your favorites like of all time, I would probably tell you it's Gurren Lagann. Like without really missing a beat.
Lagann's always a solid pick.
It's a solid like dude. That's kind of like. I mean, I watched it on later on, like in high school and stuff like that, and I was watching anime like in middle school at that point. I
watched Gurren Lagann after I graduated high school.
But yeah, and that is tough. But I guess I would put Delicious in Dungeon as like a top 10. I think it takes that fantasy and really decides to dissect it in like a food perspective. But they also have like darker tones to like the series that you just never expect. It just kind of happens. You're like, oh, that's well, that was weird. But anyway, I guess we'll continue on. And then they keep piling it on. And you're like, oh, this is what's going on.
Oh, you tell me the forbidden magic scene. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah. And then, you know, later on, when you see, like, honestly, the fact is, like, how they treat, like, the death of a person, they either revive them or, you know, they take them, like, to collections and whatnot. Yeah, it just kind of opens up that possibility of, like, it shocks you initially, and it's, like, a first time watching into all this, like, I think it's a great tool to use without really sacrificing.
Do you have a favorite character?
That's actually legitimately tough. I think the main core cast, aside from like the latest edition, have been solid. I think Laios is like, he's not like the greatest main character. He definitely has flaws, and I think that's the best thing about each and every one of them. Marcel I think it might be Marcel and like
it's just funny to
Senshi.
watch Marcel get into the bullshit that she gets into.
Yeah. I've been watching the English dub, and I think the character she voices, she's actually the live action Nami in One Piece Netflix series, and she does a tremendous job on that one. And Senshi is probably like my next favorite character as well.
Senshi's great.
He's great. They disrespect him so much, but he's also really good.
My wife was watching some of it with me, and then before she remembers, I remember they're like, bread.
Let me have it. I can make bread with that.
Let me have it. I can make bread with that.
The fact is, like, wait, what's this frying pan made out of? Like, oh, it's made of this like certain like material. Like, that's a really strong material. Why did you make it into a frying pan? Like, because it's useful that way.
I just heard her behind me. Don't throw that away.
It's true.
She just said, I can use that to make bread. Bread.
I'm honestly taken away with this series. The fact is that it has like this narrative or this objective that is like pretty short term, but does feel like it would take a good while to get there. Obviously, that first episode is like a real good icebreaker for us, as something that is otherwise serious is just kind of taking a backseat while we just kind of focus on like the episode per episode situation. And man, dude, there's a lot of good ones, but yeah, it's actually tough. I think I really did like one of the more recent episodes, the Mimics. Well, sorry, not the Mimics, because we think about the chess ones, the clones, where they really, where it's like, all right, do you really know how we are as people? Let's see if you can do it. And then everyone looks at Lies like, oh, we're screwed, bro.
I swear, like some of the moments that have made me laugh the hardest in that whole show has just been Marcel's facial expressions.
I love that not once but twice they decided to just take that initial frame and just zoom in. And it's like blur and all, they take it.
Like, dude, some of those facial expressions from Marcel have absolutely sent me.
It's good. Also, the fact is that
so unexpected.
I love that with their like given knowledge, they were able to actually like win against the fight with the Red Dragon. I really thought that was just kind of like they can't do it, not by themselves, and they do it.
Bro, that shit got intense.
It was intense, and it was like equally serious.
I know. I was worried for my boy Senshi. I was like, Senshi.
Yeah, it's a weird, like, I guess a duality of both like the serious like drama stuff versus like how goofy can really be. Like they bounce it off, and this is a bit of a spoiler for people, but obviously they meet their like initial objective, but they find out that they're actually a little bit too late, and it's like this is where the forbidden magic comes into play.
Good lord, that was a graphic and dark.
It was really dark. But then they were like, oh, you put the pieces like right here. It looks like a canine, right? Like, no, but actually, like you should arrange it like this, like a human. And you're like, I don't think this is the time for that.
Goodness gracious. Also, the fact that they finally washed Senshi's beard.
Oh my god.
Poof.
Poof. Lavish. Yeah, but also poof.
Like wash, dry, fluff.
Yeah, also floof. It really do be like that.
The fact you're right. The world's most invulnerable shield made into a pan.
Mm-hmm. It works.
He wasn't all about the fighting stuff or blacksmithing. He liked cooking.
It worked out. And dude, it's been such a joy just to watch like that show, and I think what Netflix is doing with that show is like really smart, because they used to just do bulk episode releases, and that works here and there.
Weekly now,
but to do it weekly just kind of helps keep the conversation going.
Yeah, because I was just looking on my site where I watch anime just like a minute or two ago, and I see Delicious in Dungeon episode 20 available now.
Mm-hmm. Man, 20 episodes. It's still going on really strong.
Isn't it supposed to have like 24 episodes or something like that?
I guess so. That would make sense, yeah. And they could really stop at any time at this point. It's kind of like weird how they have diced up the episodes.
Because I think the manga's finished now, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that. I may have seen something here and there about like what could happen at the After Effects. But given how the show is, I could not even tell you if that's like the end. But dude, that show also Freerun. I guess I could easily put Freerun on like a top 10 as well.
Oh yeah, I need to binge Freerun because I've heard it's really good.
Yeah,
I read the first few chapters and it was good.
Yeah, it's like, God, it is obviously in a fantasy setting, but it's also kind of a little bit more laid back in its pacing, and I appreciate it for that. It's really character centric. Yeah,
there's something very touching about seeing this elf whose time passes by for her like it's nothing, and start to actually really just come to grips with it.
Yeah, learn to really value that time versus just simply
value the time of the species around you.
Because she really could.
Everyone is going to live as long as you do.
She can really find herself in a situation similar to the Sign, where he's like, these two need to start going out already. Otherwise, I will just see them waste it.
It's because like time's going by for her, it's just another day, but she sees like, oh wow, the age is really hitting my friends hard.
That's true, and that's gonna be rough because I can only assume, because the series hasn't like actually like finished yet. It's actually on hiatus right now. That it's still the same cast of characters. You know, they haven't really quite aged as you would expect. But I am kind of concerned about what's gonna happen to Fern and Stark. Like, I would love to see like what their older versions will look like, but also like for Freeman, that's gonna just happen in a snap.
And it's like, I mean, because earlier in the chapter, the first few chapters I've read, her dwarf friend is still alive, I believe, in the first few chapters that I read.
Yeah, and
it's like he's the only one left.
Yeah, it's because like those two races just live far longer than humans.
Yeah, dwarves can live a bit long. Like, he's not going to live as long as she is, but he can live a good while.
Yeah. Man, dude, that first episode, dude. That first episode kills me. It's like, bruh, it's just like Up. Up is like systematically like constructed to make you cry at the end. That like whole like prologue, and it's the exact same thing going on here. Damn, dude. They gotta do it.
They gotta do it to him.
Had to do it to him. Yeah, I think that's everything I have at the moment as far as like things I've been watching so far. I will say, things I kind of like keep in my rotation like for the season. Moonlit Fantasy is one of them. It's another isekai, but it's kind of interesting where they're kind of like throwing in like the trajectory of like that show. It's kind of a little bit more meta, where it's like obviously it's just like another character who gets like cast out, but he's actually like really, really strong. And it's definitely just taking its time on the pacing there. There's another show that I'm watching right now. It's called Unnamed Memory, and it's really just a romance with like some very light fantasy stuff, where like our male character falls in love with like a witch, mainly because of the fact that like he's cursed. He cannot have kids because I guess like whatever child that the woman's gonna bear, she's gonna die if she has it.
Oh no.
So it's like, don't. But like, it's also a magic resistant thing, and witches are actually really highly resistant to magic, so she makes sense. But she's got a lot of baggage, and we're just kind of like finding out about that by episode 6. So there's a little bit more to see with that one.
She's like, if he was gonna have a kid, like what? She's like the best option.
Yeah, she's kind of like the best option. There are some folks out there that could work as candidates, but it's like they have to be resistant to a certain bit of magic here and there.
In order to successfully
have a kid,
the pregnancy to term,
right?
Not die.
Yeah. That's actually, I guess that's kind of it on my rotation. A lot of shows I've been like watching have been, aside from Slime Anime and Konosuba, and I guess Laidback Camp, and I guess Moonlit Fantasy. Yeah, aside from those fair handfuls, that's all I'm really watching so far. Everything else has been kind of silent. I should just check in on some of the other things that they're working on, but yeah, that's what I got going so far. Anything on your side, Mark?
Currently I'm mostly watching Kaiju number 8 and Mushoku Tensei.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's kind of weird this time around. There's like this fair bit of anime just kind of sprawled out across different distribution sites. For me, I've just been sticking primarily to Crunchyroll, so not everything's there. There's some that are like on Hive Dive. There's some that are on like Hulu, on Disney Plus. And yeah, I'm not really down to subscribe for that, even if it is just like for like a show or two.
Right.
It's tough.
And I was watching Undead Unluck, and then I just started reading the manga as well because I was like, I gotta see more.
This is true. Like from what I've seen, because people just post clips here and there. That's well produced. Like that's really well produced.
Undead Unluck's really good. It's just a sleeper.
Yeah, it's also on Disney and Hulu Plus, so it's.
I'm sure it might see an explosion in popularity.
It would have, but you know, it could all be averted if Disney really just advertised it. Just advertised it a little bit more. They're just not. And that's going to be the same thing with the other family. It's not a family show.
Go to Family?
Yes, because that's also really good too. But
it is a good series.
But again, it's just like if the main distributor is not like promoting that, then people won't know it exists.
Yeah, people, you gotta get the word out there.
Yeah, it was the similar thing with Summertime Rendering. That, and it was also a regional type of thing as well. Because last time I checked, I couldn't get access to that either. So I was like, that sucks. Because it was actually really cool. But
the word VPN.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, just get a VPN. But all right, guys, I think that is everything. So with that, I guess we will go ahead and conclude this episode of DangIT Prodcast. This has been episode 505. My name is Justin.
Mark.
And thanks for watching, everybody. #bye, everybody. We'll see you next week.